All right, so welcome to our May IMC webinar. Today we have a special guest from Easterseals, and we're going to be talking about kind of the program that they have going over there as far as assistive technology and just a lot of the services that they provide. So let's just get right into it. So I'm going to welcome Kim. It's Karwal, right? Now your title is long,
Correct.
so I'm going to let you just kind of introduce your title, and we'll just kind of go from there. So.
Absolutely. So I work with several different programs over at Easterseals, which is one reason my title is so long. But I work with the Rural Solutions program, the Assistive Technology program, and then I also work with our case management services through the National Multiple Sclerosis Society.
All right, awesome. Well, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so before we really get into some of the services, like what is your background with assistive technology, or like what's your start in this field?
You know, that's such a great question. My background truly is from growing up on a farm in Southwest Iowa and having family members that had disabilities. We never really called it assistive technology when I was growing up. It was really just what we did every single day. And as I went through the school program and then landed at Easterseals, Iowa, I was really able to put the language to the skills that I had. And the skills were really, truly creativity and then really considerations for safety. So through the 9 years that I've been at Easterseals, I've been able to attain my master's in both rehabilitation counseling and mental health counseling from Drake. I got my certified rehabilitation counseling certificate as well as my assistive technology professional certificate. And really just been able to enhance my knowledge and awareness of assistive technology and the broad definition that it really encompasses.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's a lot bigger than what people even know. Because I think a lot of times assistive technology, like just people like boil it down to like one specific thing, like something to help you open a door, like, and that's literally like all they know about it, what they think assistive technology is, and just the world that exists around it. And I think, and if you're seeing, especially, in the blindness community, we're seeing it, but I think all over you're seeing it, is that the further we go into this, the more, the technology is increasing just like everything else. And so I think getting access to more people is what's becoming the biggest deal now, that the technology has gotten to the point where it's not as expensive, but I think it's still getting to the point where everybody now knows that, like, oh, we can have access to this. So
yeah, absolutely. There's so many tools that are really normalized across
yes.
various diagnoses and various symptomologies and needs. But at the same time, the awareness of what some of those really specific needs are and the integrated access on some of those platforms that are now really commonly used in educational systems or workplaces can really lack that accessibility piece. And so the awareness to it too can be more than just the assistive technology tool, but really the technology development behind it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's kind of dive into what some of the programs you guys have there. Whichever one you want to start off with, you go right ahead. So
absolutely. So we have a multitude of programs at Easterseals, Iowa, over 16 program lines. The programs I work with, I always say I get to leave Des Moines and travel all over the state. We serve in all 99 counties of Iowa. Many of the other programs either operate within Des Moines Metro and the surrounding counties, or individuals travel from across the state to our camp and respite services that are located in Des Moines. But again, I get to leave Des Moines and travel across the state. First and foremost, I'll talk about the Rural Solutions program because it is one that has a lot of misnomers about it across the state. We work with farmers and farm family members from rural communities. We define rural as 2,500 or less in population. And really the purpose of this is to work with individuals who may not have service providers that really understand and recognize the agricultural aspects that come into play when it is an employment based on a farm. And so there can be a lot of considerations beyond just the assistive technology. And we work with individuals who have diagnoses from all different aspects of their life, from birth, an acquired disability, or symptomology due to aging. So the Rural Solutions program is a really niche program, and that's been in operation for many years. And it's truly the program that led me to Easterseals because it's one that touched my family. I won't say how many years ago, but when I was still just a child on the farm. So it made a huge difference, a huge impact on my personal life. So when I was able to be able to step inside the program and get to experience it from another perspective, it meant a lot.
Mhm.
It really goes hand in hand with our assistive technology program. We are the implementing entity for the State AT Act here in Iowa, and we have a variety of collaborators and sister programs across the state that really make it a functional and purposeful program. At Easterseals, we provide a variety of services really to just enhance the knowledge and awareness of assistive technology and give individuals an opportunity to get their hands on it and experience it in an environment that they're going to use it for a long period of time. So first and foremost is really our information and referral services. We'll have individuals that reach out to us that know a little bit about AT or a lot about AT, but have a specific situation that they want to discuss. Sometimes it's a support that we can offer from internal, but other times we need to identify various community collaborators. I'll use a communication device, for example. Sometimes an individual will contact us and they're really trying to figure out, I don't even know if I can push the buttons on a communication device to have it be able to communicate for me. I don't know if what I can communicate through a communication device or somebody who needs it for only certain periods of time. We have a variety of communication devices, so we can start with our internal demonstration center and lending library where we demonstrate these communication devices and then loan them out for a 30-day trial period. They can then gain feedback and understanding of really what that device is and better recognition of how to use a communication device. And sometimes we'll recognize that their needs are beyond what we can offer support for within our program. So we have to make an external referral. So we step back into that information and referral role where we offer an external referral. Maybe it's an SLP, a speech language pathologist, or someone else that can help identify the system that's appropriate for that specific individual. So beyond information and referral, our demonstration center, which does exist at Camp Sunnyside, but we do have a virtual demonstration that we can share. We have our lending library, which we have over 1,000 devices that we can loan out for a trial period, which is a 30-day trial period. And we also have our durable medical equipment loan program. And that program runs solely off of equipment that's donated to us. So durable medical equipment would be a Hoyer lift, a hospital bed, a manual, or a power wheelchair. In-house, we sanitize and refurbish so that we can loan out to Iowans who are in need for a nominal fee.
Yeah, so I think what I really like about the programs you guys offer is that, you know, I think it not only is really a broad group of people that you guys help with, but that it's sort of a starting point for a lot of different programs within Easterseals or even throughout the state, where it's like this sort of like, we can't help, we might not be able to assist you, but we know who to go to, or we know the next step. And that's what I think is really good about these programs that you guys offer.
Absolutely. And what's really wonderful is we have a lot of opportunity to network and partner and collaborate with other entities. So with the vocational rehabilitation entities within the state of Iowa, or the Iowa Workforce Development, or even other organizations that provide services to individuals with disabilities can connect with us and just inquire about assistive technology. We can do trainings. We can offer supports on an organizational scale as well as an individual scale for that end user of the assistive technology. We can offer moderate training or at least enough assessment for an individual to determine if a piece of technology is really going to be the right fit for them. And if it's not, what are the needs to make sure that they have the right fit? I always love using the example of like a pen. Many individuals use pens every single day to keep notes, but the reality is it's not the only way to keep notes. And quite often it's a rather inaccessible way for individuals to keep notes and be able to track information. So one useful tool can be technology-based apps that can keep notes. I can just talk to Siri on my phone to keep a note that otherwise I would have to pick up a pen and write it down. Other individuals may still want to hold a pen and write a pen down or write a phone number down, but no longer have the dexterity in their hand. So we need to talk about what can be adapted about a pen to make it more accessible on an individual scale for that person, rather than just here's a variety of products, go shopping. It's a conversation about when they're going to use it, how they're going to use it, making sure they can get the technology turned on or the cuff on their hand before utilizing the pen. And same with like a stylus for an individual that might have limited dexterity. So the reality of assistive technology is it can be so varying from one person to another that many individuals feel like there's times where AT can be a one-size-fits-all need, but that's truly never the case.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, do you guys, and you might know at least where this is going, but like, do you guys go into workplaces to talk to companies with specific employers when it comes to assistive technology? Or I don't know if you can kind of, if you understand what I'm talking about with that one.
That is a great question. We don't often go into the organizations to talk to the employers. Many times we're kind of the collaborator or the partner with the individual. The end user is really where we start. But we do offer ICT, information communication and technology services, that we can offer to employers or workplaces or large scale organizations to help them better comprehend what does accessibility mean for their operation. Is their website accessible? Are their PDFs accessible? Are their internal newsletters accessible? And we can kind of review them and provide some feedback. That is a service that is a fee for service. Off the top of my head, I honestly can't remember what our fee scale is, but I can certainly get that information.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that was just one thing I didn't know how much you guys did as far as the employment side. Now, as far as like the student, like K-12 student side, are those students eligible as well, or kind of how does it work with kids in a school setting?
Yeah, that's a great question. We serve all ages. They really, age and specific diagnosis will not deter an individual from accessing our services. You can be 2 and not have any diagnosis at all, but have a need, and that's just fine. When it comes through to K-12, really a lot of our services are kind of that step outside of the classroom. If an individual needs a device that they can take home or utilize over the summer, we do collaborate a lot with the area educational agencies, the AEAs, to make sure that we're partners in the conversation. It's rare that we attend any IEP meetings to really have that conversation, because the AEAs are truly the expert, as well as the student themselves, on how that device is really going to fit into their daily routine. Our role can just be, how does this individual still interact when they transition home? Are they going to go fishing over the summer, camping with their family? And we can help equip not only that student, but also their family with some adaptive recreational equipment, as well as other items.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think it's another thing, like, a lot of the stuff that we give out is our Braille devices and other things. You guys kind of go beyond that with even like recreational assistive technology, which I think is really, really cool. As someone who loves to camp and loves to fish, so like when you're talking like that kind of stuff, can you, like, I'm just going to dive into fishing now. So is it like different devices that help reel in and those types of things, or does it kind of work around that? And
no, you're right on track. And again, it's so individualized, but several years ago, I was actually able to attend like a Department of Natural Resources like open fishing day. And I was able to take a whole bunch of our gadgets and gizmos and just have a really good time making it work for each person who had some needs. And there was one young lady who utilized a power wheelchair, and she had really limited range of motion and limited dexterity. And she was not able to cast the fishing pole. She was really thinking that she was just going to be there to sit and watch her family members fish. And I was like, nope, let's make sure you can go fishing. So we had an automatic caster. It wasn't working great that day. I think our fishing line was a little too heavy for it, but that's the reality of fishing. And then we had a device that could attach to her leg so that the pole could actually sit inside of a tube at the angle that it would just be kind of sitting and waiting, so that she could reel it in one-handed. So really that device acted as an additional arm a little bit closer to her dominant hand, so that the rod was held in place. So we used a lot of foam and grip material to really hold the pole within that. So using the automatic caster got the line relatively far out there, as far as it needed to be for her to actually catch her first fish, and she was successful in reeling it in.
Nice.
It was one of those days that truly meant so much, because her mom just started bawling, turned around, ran back to her vehicle to get the camera and her phone to call her husband. The next thing you know, her husband and all the other family members are just showing up and running out there because they got to fish together as a family. And it wasn't just a boring hot day that, she wanted to go home after not too long watching everybody else fish and not being able to get it to be able to interact. So it was really one of those days where it was like, okay, yeah, we have some good materials, but I will say we don't have everything. And I think that's really the point of our lending library, is to kind of rule out some of those more generalist devices to really figure out, okay, yeah, this automatic caster is really great if I'm going to go river fishing, but what if I want to go out in a lake? What's going to be the best option for me? And we can talk through all those different scenarios, and really, how do you even get out in the middle of a lake if you're going to utilize a kayak? We can talk about, ways that you can access and safely use a kayak. We do even have a few kayak adaptations in the lending library too that individuals can access. and really have the conversation of just how do you engage in that recreation in a safe manner and still get the opportunity. I so often will ask like classes, if I'm presenting in a college or something, like, how many of you like to fish? How many of you like to camp? And there's always those individuals that are like, but how do you know you don't like to do it? Is you've got the chance to try it.
Yeah.
And so many individuals with disabilities, they just don't get the chance.
Correct. Yeah. So I think it's, like things like that just break down those barriers of that initial even attempt at whatever they're doing via a task, via an activity, just because they go in thinking, I can't do this, so there's nothing that's going to allow me to do this, versus having something, because you think of like even the rod holder for the wheelchair is not a really hard thing to come up with. Like, and it's not a super advanced piece of equipment, but it makes all the difference in the world to have that available to that specific person.
Right. And I mean, honestly, the cost up front can be pretty cumbersome. If you're looking at that whole system, it was probably a couple $100. And for individuals that they don't know if it's going to work for that person, and they don't know if they're going to like fishing and ever want to use it again, that's a huge expense. Same with like tent camping. Is we have one really neat pop-up tent that all you have to do is unsnap some straps around it and shake it, and it's up. And then you have to put in, the stakes to hold it down if there's a breeze, and to take it down, you just kind of match up the poles, do a figure 8 and slide it in the bag. But it's kind of difficult if you're not able to really like see the prompts visually. So we were able to add some tactile tags to it and some audio recording so that you can hear somebody explain how to match up the tactile tags and then what to do with them once you've matched them up, how to fold them and how to put them away. And that was because somebody who experienced low vision wanted to go camping and couldn't follow the instructions of a tent that they already owned, and they didn't want to spend money on a new tent. So we made something work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I think, and bringing it back to, the cost barrier, we see a lot of that with Braille devices, electronic Braille devices, because you think about that, like, the ones that we give out as our e-reader, the commercial version is like $1,500. So for someone that is either new to Braille or someone that's trying to get employed, but they need to learn Braille and they need to go through that, like dropping $1,500 on something that they don't know how much they're going to use is such a huge barrier to them. So I think anytime you can give someone even a chance to try an assistive technology device, it makes all of the difference, knowing like, oh, this does work for me. So now I understand the investment, or I can go out and make this work for me in a different setting. So yeah, absolutely.
And on the note of recreation, I mean, we have some stuff that seems a little bit out there, but there was purpose behind us purchasing it because someone had a need, or we decided that this was something we wanted to make sure individuals had access to. But we even have some rock climbing harnesses. We have some adaptive walking poles that are just purposed for individuals who are doing like urban walking. And if someone doesn't want to utilize, hiking poles for the urban walking, they're specifically designed for that landscape. We even have some health and wellness tracking devices, so including an Apple Watch that individuals can try out to see, is this even something that's going to begin to work for me? And that kind of technology advances so rapidly that you do want to make sure it's something that's really going to work long term. And it also gives us the chance to really have those conversations and ask those questions that will help equip an individual on what they're going to need to be able to answer for themselves the next time they pursue an advanced piece of technology. Even if they're just looking to upgrade a health and wellness tracker, what are those questions they need to think through on how they're going to use it, what they're truly looking for, and how to truly assess it before they purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I want to know if you could take a chance and show us the website to kind of walk through sort of the process if someone's interested and in any of the programs, or just, that all that good stuff.
Absolutely. You may have, oh, here we go. Couldn't quite see the share screen aspect, but I figured it out.
Okay, good deal. Yep, we're good.
Good. So this is our Iowa AT for All website, and it exists at www.eastersealsia.at4, and that's the number 4 all, which is ALL. So eastersealsia.at4all.com. This is where we house not only our inventory of devices, but inventory of some of our collaborators across the state. So when you're on the site, You can either start by creating a new account on the left-hand side under a login by utilizing your email and your password. Below that is the request a new account, which will prompt you to enter some information and then allow you to create that password. This main page includes disclaimers, up-to-date notices, and then down at the bottom is a link to subscribe to our MailChimp e-newsletter. Now, if you're searching for just something random, you can use the start here and use the enter a keyword or phrase. So I use that communication device example. So I could just type in communication and hit search, and then it would pull up anything that's tagged with that line of communication. I can also utilize the box next over, which is the categories drop down. And the category options are activities of daily living, adaptive toys, adaptive computer devices, ambulatory devices, cause and effect, children's equipment, and so on and so on and so on. To get a little bit more specific, you can utilize the items tab. And if you click on the items tab, it will prompt you to a page that has just a few more options. So not only do you have that category, but you can also choose a classification and then a type and then all programs. So the reason that there's different programs is because we utilize this also for our exchange program. This same website is where Iowans can go if they have something that they have for sale or they want to get rid of. So if they have an accessible vehicle, they can put it on this site and it will pull up with any general search. So if we typed in vehicle devices, it would not only pull up, I'll just go ahead and type in vehicle, how's that? It would not only pull up the devices that we have in our lending library, but also any vehicles that any Iowan has posted for sale. It looks like it did not. What it did pull up was a vehicle sound puzzle toy, an extra large panoramic rearview mirror, that right line gear pop-up tent for some reason was tagged under vehicle, and then a portable DVD player. Well, I talked about the tent, so maybe that's no, it doesn't listen to you, I promise. But so if you pull it up, I just pulled up that right line gear pop-up tent. This is the one that we marked with the tactile markers, and we can remove and add those markers per individual need. It has a written description that kind of explains what the device is or what the item is. It also has a photo. The photo does have alt text. And then below the description is the distance where the item is located. So for some of those exchange items, it might be located in like Independence, Iowa, whereas this tent is located here in Des Moines with our equipment. And then it has a link to the manufacturer so that you can go straight to purchasing it if that's something you desire to do. And then below that is the cost. So this tent is still $99. And you can literally use this page to request a loan. So way at the bottom, there is a request a loan tab. And if you click on that, it's just going to move you to a page to prompt you to either log in or create an account.
So you're saying request a loan, so that means that they are wanting the item, but they just need a loan from you guys in order to purchase it. Is that you're just starting the process of that?
Correct. Yeah, that request a loan would prompt an email to be sent to all the item organizers within our program. So one of us would then respond and engage in a little bit more conversation. Very often, if somebody requested something like this reacher, for example, that's up here as well, this reacher is a device that you can utilize to extend the reach of your arm. You do need dexterity in your hand to operate the clamp from the base of it and then pick up devices. So this would be something we would have the conversation of like, what are you looking to reach and grab? If someone says, you know, I want to get cans off the top shelf, we would probably discourage them from this device and talk about some other alternative options that are a little bit safer. We can compare and contrast it among some other devices that are similar that we also have available. And then we could step into that loan opportunity. So devices can be mailed, otherwise they can be picked up. We can still allow for a no contact pickup, and that's what that shipping of the devices also allows for. And then the items are loanable for up to 30 days. We do ask that at 30 days, we at least be able to touch base to discuss how that loan is going. Many times individuals can make a determination like, hey, 2 of the reachers you sent me are just terrible and I hate them. And then we can coordinate so those 2 can get shipped back and then extend the loan for the additional one that really did work to make sure it works in all the environments that they want to use it in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I like how you have it all set up where it's nice, you know, to get the loan from this page, but also you can come back to it and purchase your own if you want. Just kind of makes it easier all around for everyone to use it. So yeah, good deal.
We hope so. And if ever there are any issues, truly on this contact tab. We're all just an email or a phone call away. And you can get a hold of us by emailing atinfo, at eastersealsia.org. And that will email all of our team members for one of us to get back to you to really have a conversation about what you're looking for, what didn't go well on the website. We are currently under construction for a brand new website that will break things down, hopefully a little bit better. This will be still a piece of that, as well as something you can log into on its own. But the new website will also have options for like, how do you explore funding opportunities when it comes to having identified what assistive technology works for you? How do you start the conversation of the basic assistive technology assessment, or really what is assistive technology and how could it possibly work for me?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I think I got everything answered that I wanted to ask. You're a good talker. I like that. You definitely answer all the questions and you roll right through it. So that was good.
I've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, you got your spiel down. That's a good thing to have down. So, so I'm trying to think. I don't see any questions in the chat, but I just wanted to, give you a chance I just wanted to thank you for joining us today. I think this is, you guys do a great service. And you do work with so many different organizations across the state that I think it's nice to kind of touch base and let everybody kind of know what you guys are doing and how, that our people and, TVIs and everybody else out there can kind of just know of other services that exist. Because I think a lot of times with assistive anything, so any accessibility or assistive technology, I think the biggest thing is just knowing what's out there. And I think that that's the biggest thing that people kind of keeps them from it, is they just don't know what's there. So yeah.
I agree. Well, I appreciate you letting me come on, and I hope that this gets you more questions than you can handle and you have to pass them off to us. How's that?
That sounds great. I'm in on that. So, all right. Yeah. And so if you're watching this on YouTube later, I will have all the links posted on where you need to go in the description down below. So go ahead and check that out. And other than that, we are taking a break on these for the summer. So there will be no IMC webinar in June, July, or August. And then we will pick them back up in the fall. So thanks again. Thanks, Kim, and thanks to everybody else out there. All right, see ya.